Welcome to Divine Downloads. I'm your host, Cassandra, and spiritual mentor. And this is the show where we help you turn the vision for your life into reality using spiritual tools and strategic guidance. And today's episode is all about this new moon in Virgo that's happening on September 17th, 2020. But as I always like to remind you, if your intuition led you to this episode, regardless of when you're listening to this has a message for you. So just trust that. New moons especially are pretty potent, for the next few days. But that new moon also influences that 6-month cycle ahead of it. So just trust, I guess, is the message there. And the theme of this podcast is really about making strategic choices to turn a corner in your life and really up level. And so I think it's an exciting second part, I guess, to the last podcast, where we dive deeper into Mars retrograde. And I highly suggest, highly, if you haven't watched my Quantum Leap Intensive, it's an almost 2 hours about everything from, the energetic themes of 2020, 3D to 5D, quantum manifesting, timeline hopping. We do a very powerful meditation at the end as well. I really wanted to create a resource for you guys for these times, based on a lot of the questions that were coming in, and also just based on some of the really big downloads that have been coming through for me to share with you. So click the link below if you want to download that for later. It's, like I said, it's free. It's my gift to you. I really feel like it's stuff everybody needs to know right now if you're a conscious being moving through the rest of 2020. Before we jump into the new moon in Virgo, though, I want to keep up with my good tradition of sharing with you a 5-star review every episode. And so for those of you who are new, I'm going to share a 5-star review, and the person who wrote this 5-star review is going to win a one-on-one session with me, which is like a $500 value pretty much. And I actually don't even offer solo one-on-one sessions. You have to work with me in a more long-term commitment. You have to apply for my one-on-one mentorship. So it's a super special prize to get. And I encourage you, if you're a fan of the show and you love listening to me and you appreciate my guidance, to leave a 5-star review so you can enter to win a free session with me. So today's winner is Sept's health journey, and her review is titled, "Cassandra is an angel on earth. I love Cassandra, and I've been following her since my spiritual awakening in April 2019. She is a beautiful soul and has so much wisdom to share with us, and I always feel like I can relate to anything and everything she posts and talks about. Please listen to this podcast. You won't regret it." Oh, thank you so much, Steph. I really appreciate that, and thank you for being with me since your spiritual awakening. Feel free to email assistant@cassandrabodzak.com to redeem your free session. And I hope to hear from more of you. Every podcast episode, we announce a new winner. So keep listening, subscribe, and give me 5 stars if you want a session. So let's talk about this new moon in Virgo. Wow, we got so much going on astrologically, and I want you to really think about, I like to think about the planets as like the cosmic life coach for us all, always challenging us, always bringing up these new themes, these new things for us to work with, these new things for us to work on. And Virgo is typically a sign of, focusing on our well-being, cleanliness, order. It's a very grounded, practical sign. It's also a feminine sign, though. So it's an interesting energy that's coming up. For those of you that listen to the Mars retrograde podcast, if you haven't, I highly recommend go back, listen to that after you listen to this, because a lot of the themes will kind of fit together like puzzle pieces. It'll make sense. Mars is in retrograde until November, so we have that ongoing energy. And one of the things we talked about in the Mars retrograde podcast is this moving out of a masculine energy and into a feminine energy. So here comes Virgo, this new moon, feminine energy, really asking us to, Virgo is more strategic, more practical. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? What are our daily habits? What routines are we going to change? Right? And so it's less airy fairy and a very grounded, what are the choices are we gonna make every day, and where are they coming from? But it's piggybacking on that theme of the Mars retrograde that I go into more detail on that, and is that really us stepping back into our intuitive power, stepping back and really listening to where we are being guided and trusting it. The choices that we're being pushed into making around this new moon, and honestly probably for the rest of the year, we're gonna start to get comfortable making choices when we really don't know. It's not gonna be so kind of black and white. It's not gonna be like, okay, well, if we make this choice and we do this thing, that's gonna happen. If we make this choice, we're gonna do that thing, that's gonna happen. Welcome to 2020. Everything's a mystery. So we're going to get comfortable making choices with unknowns, right? Being like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, and I need to move forward anyway, or I need to, I think a perfect example of this, for those of you guys that have been listening, I've been kind of interjecting about kind of planning my wedding. And one of the things that came up for us, because again, I think that's a perfect example of one of these kind of like Virgo new moon choices, right? We don't know. No one knows for sure what the world's going to look like in a year when we're planning to get married. So we have to make that decision based on our gut, based on my intuition. I would say, my fiance is a generator in human design, so he's going to make it based on his gut. I'm splenic, so I'm going to make it based on my knowing. And we're going to have to move forward and make some big choices with unknowns. And so, the choice between like, oh, do we elope or do we have a small ceremony, or, whatever it is, it's not, like if you were going to have your wedding today, you kind of know based on your area, based on the laws and stuff like that, what you're dealing with, right? We don't know what we're going to be dealing with in a year. So we're going to make that decision based on intuition. And it's the same thing for these choices that are going to be coming up for us around this Virgo new moon. Some of them could be future oriented. If you're making a future based choice, then you don't know. I've heard a lot of people that are, moving because of the wildfires, or moving because of, things that came up during COVID, or moving because of, when everything was shut down, they really started reassessing, right? And again, you might have to make some of those big choices, like a move is a huge choice, with kind of a question mark, right? Who knows, I was talking about, this with some people, and I don't mean it in this kind of negative way, but just in a very kind of open, realistic, we don't know what's going on way, is that, you could probably move anywhere and you don't know if something's going to happen in that area. On some level that was true pre-COVID, pre all these, natural disasters and stuff. It's like, you don't have 100% guarantee. Someone's not going to come, and you're like, oh, you've decided to move to Montana? Well, here's our Montana agreement saying that you're safe in Montana, nothing bad happens in Montana. That's not going to happen. And so what this end of 2020 boot camp, I'm going to call it, is helping us just get comfortable making big life choices based on our intuition, based in our feminine, and again, really releasing that energy of feeling like we have to know, or we need all the information to move forward, right? I think a lot of things are gonna get unstuck with this new moon in Virgo, which I'm really excited about for myself and for all of you, is that I think there have been things that for the past 6 months or so, we've kind of put on hold, we've kind of been procrastinating on, maybe we've just not known what to do. And this new moon in Virgo kind of comes with this fresh energy that's saying it's time to take next steps, right? We know what we want. Let's get into action. And the big message that I also really hit on in that, in my Quantum Leap Intensive, is that, I'm talking, and if you follow me, I've been talking about this new paradigm that's being born, this new earth that's coming with all of these great changes and all these great upheavals, is that we are actually, we're birthing this new paradigm through us, and it's happening through our choices. It's happening through our individual choices. And so we are going to be making choices and trying things that we haven't done before. I would say, one of my favorite um things, of course, I get asked by clients and friends, and they're always like, how do I know it's my intuition, and how do I know I'm being guided, or whatnot. And one of the things I always say is, one, well, if something happens and it doesn't make sense, know it was divine, right? If like everything added up, but somehow like they were like, oh, sorry, we still can't do it, just know that that was like a divine redirect. Or for instance, if everything adds up and you're like, wow, I really should want this job, but for whatever reason, even though the salary is what I asked for, the company is perfect, every you're just checking every box, but there's just something inside of you that's like, no, 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 we don't want this. It's your intuition, right? Because your logical brain will go through the checklist, right? Your logical brain is going to be like, well, A plus B equals C, right? And your intuition is not linear. And so often, I also want to give the disclaimer that, your intuition is often that soft, quiet, peaceful voice inside of you that's whispering, and your logical, rational brain is often the louder one, right? And when they are in alignment, right, when your intuitive and your rational are in alignment, decisions are like super easy, right? When you're like, your intuition is like, yes, this is the job, and then your rational brain is like, check, 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 checks all the boxes, you're like, hallelujah, hallelujah, right? It's when one of them's not checking up that you have to listen to your intuition. Because what happens is, our rational brain checks it, but it doesn't feel good. We get that kind of ping that something's off, and that's our intuition being like, no, don't go down that road, right? And I like to say that's kind of like that is our divine consciousness, our eagle eye view that's saying, okay, right now, from what you can see at your limited human perspective, you think that's a good choice for you, right? But when you tap into that divine perspective, you get that eagle eye view of the situation. Maybe they're saying like, oh my God, actually that boss is going to be really toxic. She's going to miss this other opportunity that's coming down the pipeline for her. That company is going to go under. You don't know. And so right now we're in a place with this new moon, when we think about new moons, when we think about fresh beginnings, setting intentions, it's really interesting because I almost feel like this isn't new intentions. I think this is really looking at the things that are what's are still in your heart. What are you still desiring? What have you maybe had on that goal list, or had on that vision board, or that dream list for the past few months that hasn't really been moving forward? And asking yourself, what choices can I make to really turn that corner, right? And what strategic, intuitive choices can I make to turn that corner? So it's really about tuning into that specific thing, whatever that desire is for you, and asking for that guidance, and then being willing to make choices that are different than you've ever made before. And that's what's going to trip a lot of people up, because, the definition of insanity is doing things over and over again the same way and expecting a different result. Yet we often do that so much as humans, right? We literally feel like, okay, I'm going to, I've been telling myself that I'm going to start this business for years, right? And maybe you know, took some free webinars, maybe you're watching some things on YouTube, maybe you set up a Squarespace page, but you always get, you know, you can't get the momentum, you can't get the stuck at a certain point, right? And maybe you are getting hit that it's time to hire a mentor or hire someone to build a website, or I don't even know, or go a different direction, or maybe just have an Etsy store and not try to build your own website. You know, the details really don't matter, but maybe you're getting direction that makes you feel uncomfortable. This is a good thing. Right now, if your intuitive guidance is making you feel uncomfortable, it's spot on. Because in order to really make those choices that are going to help you turn the corner, you're gonna need to do things that are different than you've ever done, right? And Virgo also rules, you know, our routines and health as well, our job, right? Virgo really rules kind of like our work, like how we show up at work, the hours we work, our routine at work. Same thing with our health, right? How do we take care of our health? Both of these things are very routine like. So it's really asking yourself too, are the routines that I like, looking at those intentions that you have for this new moon, looking at those things that are on your plate that you're ready to see some progress on, and really asking yourself, okay, well, are my routines supporting that? Because I'll just tell you right now, they're not, or you would already have it, right? And then it's asking, okay, well, what routines might support that, right? And this is where we also listen to our intuition. We kind of put it out there into the universe or ask for divine guidance around it. And we are open, you know, maybe you have been wanting to get into a workout routine and you've been going to your gym, or you did this, or you've done this couple things, right? And you put it out and you say, hey, I have not been able to get into the groove with this workout routine. I really want it. It's something I really desire to feel fit and healthy. Please, I'm open for you know, different guidance. And maybe you see later that night, you're on Pinterest and you see an ad for an app that is free home workouts and holds you accountable in a community or whatnot. And it's something that would be so outside of your comfort zone before. You would have never felt like that could be something that might work for you or that you would do. But you're like, you know what, I'm just going to try it, right? It's things like that. It's really thinking outside the box and realizing the thing that's going to get you to where you want to go, the place that you haven't been able to get up until now on your own devices, is not going to be any of the things that you've tried in the past, right? And so really surrendering, and again, this is a huge theme that really came up in that Quantum Leap Intensive, is we need to stop making our present choices really based on our past, based on things we've done in the past. You know, I was on the call with a client the other day. We were talking about dating, and she's ready to meet her husband. And I was telling her kind of a new way of going about things. And she was like, wow, I've actually never done that before. And I was like, well, that's a really good sign, right? That's a really good sign, because we don't want you to be doing the things that you've already been doing, because what you have been doing on your own devices hasn't got you to where you want to go, right? It's the same thing, you know, when I'm working with a client and it's like, okay, you know, I need to get more clients. I'll be like, okay, well, what have you been doing thus far? If you've ever filled out, or you could check it out, it's in the links below, but on my one-on-one mentorship application, I ask, what have you been doing already? And how has it been going? Because if you've already been doing it and it's not delivering you the results, then what needs to happen is something completely different, right? That's information. So whatever you've done, your routines, your habits in that arena up until this point aren't working, right? And so I'll just give an example of one of these. It's kind of random, but for me, I had for the longest time been trying to get that early AM workout in. I had always been being like, I want to wake up, I want to work out, this way I can shower for the day right afterwards, and I don't have to worry about my workout for the rest of the day. Now, you can read a ton of women's health magazines and fitness books and talk to trainers, and a lot of people would recommend that and say that that's actually a really great routine, a really great habit to get into. And I can tell you that it wasn't until I switched it up, and I just got the hit one day. I was like, what if you tried working out kind of like a lunch break hour, like 11:30, noonish, that kind of time? What if you took a class every day at that time so that it divided your morning from your afternoon? So you could do all the things you wanted to get done in the morning, your meditation, some emails, your Course in Miracles, all the things I do every morning. And then you have your break in the day, you make yourself lunch, and then you do whatever you're doing in the afternoon creatively. And it was a complete game changer. And I can tell you, and now I go work out every day, and I love it. And it energizes the rest of the day because I've made that shift. But it took me having to get out of not only my own past thinking and judgments on how it had to go, right? But also the collective around that, right? Like there's a collective, agreement. And like, I'm not saying that everyone is like, you have to work out in the morning, but there's a lot of people that would venture to say that's a good idea, right? So it's sometimes can feel, and this is perhaps a very mundane example, but Virgo does rule a lot of these mundane things. So I think these are also going to be the areas that they're appearing in your life. But what I want to stress to you is that those things have a ripple effect on the rest of your whole life. Your life is like a holistic organism. So if one of the pieces clicks in well, then everything else kind of runs more smoothly. So even though me shifting my workout time from in the morning to midday isn't like the hugest, craziest choice to make, what it did by me listening to my intuition, by me doing something different than I had ever done before, by me doing something different than perhaps the status quo or what I thought it should look like, right? It allowed me to now find something that not only has gotten me to the gym more and improved my physical fitness and health, it's also improved my mental sanity. It's also helped me focus more and be more effective at work. Everything else has benefited because of me stitching this routine. Even my partner has said that he's noticed such a difference since I found this routine and I'm in such a nice groove. And so it's just knowing that this Virgo new moon may highlight some of these more mundane routines, might highlight sleep patterns or food patterns or how we work out or, what time we do certain activities for work or how we schedule or time block our work day, right? But knowing that when you find that sweet spot through actually listening to your intuition and honoring what you need right now in this season, what's energetically working for you, then literally all of the other pieces in your life start clicking in better. And so it creates this huge shift in your life because all of a sudden, you click that in, right? Your relationships are going better. Your mood is going better. You're doing better at work. You're making more money. Like literally, it's like everything, like the wheels start turning, right? Because you stopped putting in these kind of cogs that weren't fitting anymore. And so in summary, before this gets too long, this new moon in Virgo, I really want you to, like any new moon, get clear on what are those things that are top of heart right now. What are those things that you are, bloody over being stuck with? What are those things that are just ripe to have some really big movement for you to turn that corner? And I always like to say, I can look at your chart and you can find out a little bit more from your chart, but it's because it's what's on you. It's what's on your thoughts right now. It's what's on in front of you in your life right now. That is what is here for you to work with. So honor that. And then, like I said, break it down into how are my habits? How are my routines? How are my daily rituals? Either supporting this or not supporting this. And what have I been doing? You got to look at what you've been doing so you can know what not to do moving forward around that specific thing, right? It's like keep what's working, but admit when something's not, right? I'll give you another example. I'm writing right now, and I literally just had this moment the other day and was telling my friend about it because I was scheduling pretty much all of my my work to get done first, and then I would schedule writing at like the end of the day. And I realized that I was never writing because by the time I got to the end of the day, I was tired, my creative juices weren't flowing anymore, and I just didn't have any of the vibrancy left to write what I wanted to write. So again, just kind of noticing those moments. So, well, where did I schedule something that maybe isn't working? Where do I have a ritual that actually is in alignment with my energy? And throw out can I throw out if there's some collective idea around how this has to be done or how this needs to get accomplished, and instead tune in to what's feeling like flow, what's feeling like I'm being guided towards, and tune into that energy, because that is what's going to, have us take that leap forward, have us turn that corner. Is when we start making those strategic choices based on our intuition, and based on being willing to try something that we've never tried before. And so I leave that with you to reflect on. If you want to dive deeper into this theme, I'll be doing a Virgo new moon online workshop. So you can click that link below, download that, do it whenever you feel called to do it. I'll guide you through a meditation to really get into your subconscious to see what's coming up for you, so that you can see these patterns more clearly, so that you can get that intuitive hit on what that new choice is, what that new routine or habit or structure is to help accomplish whatever those goals are that have been coming up for you right now. So you can check that out below. Of course, like I said, also be sure to grab that free Quantum Leap Intensive. It's super juicy, and I truly think every single one of you listening needs to hear the information that I share in that, to really powerfully, make that quantum shift for the rest of the year. It is so available to us right now. And last but not least, I will say that I'm going to include a link below to the waitlist for my upcoming group coaching program, because I've had so many people reach out asking when it's going to be, and it's probably going to be in November. It's happening in this fall. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be epic, but I wanted to create this waitlist. It's not an obligation. It's literally just so that you will know I'm going to give the waitlist top priority on the spots that will be available, since it'll be a limited number of spots in the group, because I want us to all be able to talk and everybody to get that interaction with me. So if you're interested in that, I'll also probably give the waitlist a little discount or coupon as a thank you when we get going. So you can click the link below, sign up for that group coaching waitlist, and you'll be the first to know. And thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe. It's the best way, other than a 5-star review. Subscribing and a 5-star review are the best ways you can thank me for these free content that I love giving you guys. So thank you so much.